Welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Mayor Diane Joens, your host, and I have with me today Tracy Schimikowsky, who is the director of the Yavapai County Office of the Better Business Bureau. And Tracy and I have quite a long history. We've known each other for, 28, 29 years now.
That is very true.
And we worked together when we were babies.
Yes.
Back in 1987 at the Bank of Verde Valley.
That was a long time ago,
That was
Diane.
a long time ago. And the Bank of Verde Valley is now where the Ming House is on Main Street.
Right.
And the bank moved that building in. Was it the Rio Salado Bank that we got it from?
I think so.
Yeah, it was local investors that put this bank together.
Yep.
And we had a lot of fun at the Bank of Verde Valley.
Like I said, that was a long, long time ago. My goodness. I think my son was a year old at that time. And so
he's grown up and married and has children now.
He has a son, yes.
So we've known each other a very, very long time.
That's very, very true.
So share a little bit of information about yourself and maybe tell us how you got to the Better Business Bureau.
Sure. Well, as we were just talking about, my career started back in 1987 with the Bank of Verde Valley. I actually moved here when I was 14 years old, and when I mean here, I mean the Verde Valley, from Ohio.
Okay.
So I moved from a suburb of Columbus to a very small rural community of Cottonwood, and I think in '78 there was maybe about 3,000 people here.
Not very many.
Not very many. And so I graduated high school from here, went on to college in Texas for a little bit, and then moved back, continued my banking career in California after being here in the Verde Valley for those 3 years that I was at the Bank of Verde Valley. And then eventually, when I moved back here, there wasn't much for banking, corporate banking, because that's where I had stepped into while I was in California. So I went into the hospitality industry, and I worked for several resorts as their human resources manager, and then I took a short leave of absence. My kids were entering high school, and there was a time in my life at that point that I could take some time off. And so I was out of work, to help them through their late teen years, I guess you could say. And then once my youngest was almost out of high school, I went back to work, and that's what started my chamber career.
Okay, and you worked in Camp Verde for a while in Chino Valley.
I did.
And you enjoyed that very much.
I did enjoy that very much, especially the tourism aspect of it.
Right.
There's something about, helping folks who are coming into the community, trying to find out what there is to see and do, and just sharing the excitement of all the activities that are, not just around here, but around the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally when I moved over to Chino Valley and ran that chamber for a short bit, I had received my accreditation, so I am officially an accredited chamber executive.
Okay.
And then things just took a shift. And I had done what I needed to do, accomplished what I needed to accomplish for the chamber over there, and felt it was time to kind of take a little bit of a step backwards, and not necessarily career-wise, but I was looking for something quality of life. I was working a lot of weekends, and my family wasn't seeing me much prior to all of that. And so now this position as the Yavapai County Director, I am over in the Verde Valley a little more often. Mm-hmm. So I do get to see my kids and my grandson and my parents, and so it's really kind of nice. So
well, that's great. So now we're going to find out about your new position with the Better Business Bureau.
Absolutely.
So what is the Better Business Bureau, and how can the Better Business Bureau help the residents of the Verde Valley, Yavapai County? So what is it that you do, Tracy, to help businesses and consumers?
We do a variety of things, but I'll just kind of share with you, even though our office is located in Prescott, mm-hmm. we serve more than just Yavapai County.
Okay.
Our office also handles Coconino, Navajo, and Apache.
Wow, that's kind of like NACOG in a way. They handle a lot of counties.
Exactly, Northern Arizona.
Okay.
So what we do a variety of things, but I'll kind of back up just a bit and talk about BBB. And it was established in the 1900s basically to correct advertising abuses. Consumers, were having issues with advertising, and so they developed Better Business Bureau as like a vigilante type, service to go after advertising abuses that were being done by businesses. And basically, BBB champions the cause of consumers and holds businesses accountable to the highest standards of honesty in their activities.
So it's creating an ethical business climate.
Absolutely. Standards of trust. Very, very true. BBB is the leader in advancing marketplace trust and provides products, programs, and services that support consumer and business decision making. So, BBB has generally been known as the complaint department. You can come to BBB and file a complaint and we'll help you resolve it.
Right.
But we're also trying to let folks know we're all about education as well. A lot of the things that I do is I will go to like senior communities or senior facilities and share our Savvy Consumer program that talks about how the science of scams are and what some marketplace scams or investment scams. We do a Savvy Teen program about internet safety. And, when they're approaching their late high school years and entering college, advice for how to buy your first car or some tips on when you're signing your first lease. So it's a variety of things there too. And so, I'm out doing that as well. And just kind of sharing with folks what BBB is about. Another thing we're encouraging folks to do is customer reviews. So if you've done business with someone, whether it's good, neutral, or bad, go online and do a customer review. BBB does go on and make sure that it's a legitimate customer that's, sending those reviews in because, they just don't want reviews to pop up that may not be legitimate. And so, and also encouraging consumers to sign up for the BBB newsletter. They can go on to ArizonaBBB.org or BBB.org, whichever one, and sign up to receive the monthly newsletter. It will give them information about scams that are coming out, any warnings, new news releases that are being presented, and just kind of give them continual tips on how to stay savvy so they don't get caught up in some sort of scam.
And it seems like there are plenty of those going around, especially for the elderly. I do know that for the city of Cottonwood that we get notices from Iris Dobler, who's our Human Resources Director, about BBB and things going on to help all the employees of the city.
Absolutely. So, there's a variety of releases that can come out. Business tips, consumer tips, like I mentioned, warnings, any type of alerts. And so we want to make sure that consumers are, and if they're not sure, call us. They can call BBB at 928-772-3410, and we'll be more than happy to, answer their questions or look up something for them. We do keep track of phone numbers, so we can tell you if a phone number has a scam attached to it.
So do people ever call you about the incessant telemarketing calls that they receive?
Yes.
And is there anything, what do you do about that? How do you help them with that issue?
We usually just, kind of let them know if it's a number you don't recognize, don't answer the phone. Because if they really want to get a hold of you, they'll leave a message. And robocalls won't ever leave a message because it's an auto dialer, and you trigger the phone call when you answer. And then once you answer, you've just pretty much set yourself up for more calls. So the best advice is to just don't answer if it's not something you don't recognize.
Okay, that's some very good advice. Very good. Some tips. Right. We love those tips to help our public. So how does someone research a business through the Better Business Bureau?
Well, I'll mention that in a minute, but the other thing I'd like to mention too is we also have a Wise Giving, so charity reports. So a lot of our folks do donations, and you can go online and pull up the Wise Giving Guide, or you can call us and we can, help you do that too.
That's great.
But they can look up any charity and they can find out, whether they're being transparent or, where their funds are going, or if they haven't, answered certain things. And so they can check out the legitimacy of a charity through the Wise Giving Guide.
Do you do anything with the GoFundMe?
I don't know that much about GoFundMe,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, because there's, I mean, just anybody can open an account for anybody else. They don't even have to have the permission of the person they're collecting for. So I would guess that people need to be quite aware of who they're donating to in those circumstances, and making sure that the person they're giving the donation to gets that donation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, those third-party ones can be probably a little challenging in that regard. Generally, it's probably best to, you know, donate directly to the actual charity that you know it's going to. Otherwise, just like you were mentioning, you may run the risk of it not going where you had thought it had intended to in the first place.
So when there's a huge crisis in some country, like earthquakes and those sorts of things, do you get calls then about people that they're donating to, or is it mainly local charities, or just a variety?
We do get calls, but you know, for the most part, I think folks kind of have a general idea of where they can, you know, rest assured that their money is going to be safe, like the American Red Cross and things like that. So, I mean, you know, we actually, I think we'll probably have something come out in the very near future about the recent earthquake in Nepal, and giving tips on, you know, charities that have gone through and have agreed to those, you know, trust standards for giving.
Right.
And so they can check out the website to see what those are, and some tips on how to make sure they don't get caught up into something.
Right. I was even watching when we lost our 19 firefighters, all the different charities that arose to collect money on their behalf, and the whole time I looked at those and thought I knew that a couple of them were surefire that, you know, that the families would get the funds, but a few of them I'm like, whoa, I hope people are checking those out.
And it also falls into one of those things, if it sounds too good to be true,
it might be.
It just might be. You know, and it's just like lottery, you know, where you've won money, but yet you have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for anything like that. So, you know.
Yeah, well, I think it's about time to take a break, and so we will be right back.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. And now she's holding on for dear life. Her kids can see she may have broke her knees. They still love her though she looks like she's attacked by killer bees. I'm allergic, proof you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Mayor Diane Joens, your host, with Tracy Schimikowsky from the Better Business Bureau. And for the benefit of our residents here in the Verde Valley, how does someone research a business through the BBB?
Sure, that's a great question, Diane. And basically how they can do that is if they have access to the web, they can go to, if it's an in-state, and what I mean by that is if it's located here in Arizona, they can go to arizonabbb.org. And basically what they would do is on the home page, they would then enter in the business name.
In a search, like a search?
In a search, yeah, it's like a little search engine. Okay. So kind of at the top of the screen, there's a little line where you type in the business name, and then you could type in the city and the state, and it would then pull it up. And you could pull up their business review. It'll tell you what their rating is. And I'd like to mention at this particular time that we rate all businesses fairly. Whether they're accredited or not, all businesses are given an A through F rating, and it's based on 13 factors.
Okay.
I don't have those factors memorized yet, but
but they can find those factors on the web, I would assume.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what does a person do if they don't have access to a computer?
They can call us.
Okay.
And they can reach us at 928-772-3410. They'll either reach Marilyn or myself, and we will be more more than happy to look up the company name for them, give them the business review information. That's what's public. We can let them know what their rating is, if they're accredited or not, if they have any complaints on file, and if they have any reviews on file, or if they have any government actions on file. Okay. And so, you know, when you're looking at those types of things, you want to also see how that business is, you know, following through on those complaints. Are they resolving them? You know, granted, they may have them, but have they resolved them? And so you're looking, you know, at a pattern to see what's going on with that business.
So how do you keep track of all that? Once you get a complaint in, how do you follow up to make sure that you're checking on resolution? And there just must be a whole lot to your job.
There really is, and let's kind of talk a little bit about that. So when a consumer files a complaint, the best way to do that is online. So once we receive it, we verify that it is something that we can handle, because there are things that are out of our purview. And we can talk about that a little later, of some of the misconceptions of BBB and some things that we don't do. Okay. So basically what we do is we will redact all the information that may be personal, that might, you know, identify someone's social security, correct, birthday,
home address.
Exactly, right. Exactly. And then what we do is we reach out to that business. So whatever that, you know, that complaint is, we would contact that business by phone, by email, by mail, whichever way we can get a hold of them. And they generally have a time period to reply. And so the business then has X number of days to reply, you know, review the complaint and reply. And once that's happened, we work with them to help make sure that they respond to that complaint in a timely manner. And then once that response is received from the business, we forward it back to the consumer for them to go, yes, I accept that, no, I don't. You know, and it could take a few times before something may happen. The idea is to get that complaint resolved, as, you know, to the best of, you know, the ability for the consumer and the business, so it's a win-win situation. All right. But not all complaints can be resolved. I mean, there's always something that may or may not be to the liking of, you know, the business or the consumer. And so it's a matter of, you know, what is it that the person is, you know, trying to get from filing that complaint. And we also recommend that the consumer tries to resolve it with the business before coming to us. You know, if they've gone that avenue and they still haven't had any resolution, then come see us.
Right. Yeah, it's always best to try to handle it with the person you disagree with, whether it's a neighbor or a business or a coworker or whatever. Right, to do it that way first. So how does someone report a business?
How someone reports a business is they can contact us by phone, or they can email us at yavapai-info@arizonaBBB.org. Or they can mail to our address at 213 Grove Avenue in Prescott, 86301. So basically, any information you're able to provide is helpful. And if the business is not in our system, we will create a file for them. So if it's, you know, a business we haven't heard from, or maybe is, you know, they're just not in the system, we will go through and make sure that, you know, a file is created for them and go through that process as well.
So sometimes it's probably, I mean, there's so many new businesses that are created every single day. I would think that it would be hard to keep up sometimes.
It can be. And you know, sometimes just as quickly as one comes into business, another one goes out of business. Right. Or there's mergers and acquisitions. And so, you know, our system, you know, when those kinds of things happen,
constantly changing.
It is very much so. So, I mean, you know, it's an interesting process, and there's a lot. Now, when we think about, you know, how big BBB is for us, we are a satellite branch of the Phoenix office, and we are one of 3 satellite branches. There's a Mojave County and a Yuma branch. Okay. And so between those 4 locations, we have about 11,500 accredited businesses that we are serving. I can't even begin to think of how many, you know, that's in our database as far as just businesses in general, but I'm sure it's in the thousands.
Absolutely. Well, let's take another quick break, and when we get back, we'll talk about some misconceptions of what the BBB can do.
You bet.
We will be right back in just a moment.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent?
What?
Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. Mayor Diane Joens, your host, with Tracy Schimikowsky from the Better Business Bureau.
Thanks, Diane.
So we were going to talk next about misconceptions. I mean, I'm sure there's that folks think that you can just wave a magic wand and solve their problem, but maybe sometimes you're unable to do that for certain reasons.
That's very, very true, and there are some big misconceptions, and that people think that BBB is legal counsel. We're not. We're also not a government, and we can't resolve employment issues. So basically, when those things come to us, we will refer them to the respective, entities that can help them with that. So like the EEOC or Wage and Hour, if legal counsel is needed, we'll let them know, maybe contact an attorney. That might be something that you would need to do. Or if we do get some folks thinking that BBB can help them with an issue they're having with their city. And maybe it's a code issue, and we have to tell them, no, you have to go back to your city. We don't do that. Yeah. Basically, BBB is a nonprofit organization. We are a 501c6 whose mission is to advance marketplace trust. And our vision is to create a marketplace where buyers and sellers can trust each other. Now, that being said, as I was mentioning earlier, we're not a government agency, but we work closely with government entities.
I thought you did, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the local police departments, Attorney General's office, to investigate questionable businesses.
And I bet you that cities and towns and counties come to you for help sometimes. And as you said, police departments, if they see that maybe an elderly person is getting scammed by a roofing company or a pool company or whatever it is, siding or whatever a lot of times the issues are.
That's very true. They will contact us to find out if we are seeing any kind of a trend, and vice versa. If we're seeing a trend, within the community with something, we will contact them too, just to kind of say, hey, this is happening.
Keep them updated.
Absolutely.
So they can keep watch for the citizens
And usually what happens is just about the time, we may hear from, investigators and stuff, we are in the process of either prepping a release about something like that, whether it's a scam alert or some sort of warning. And so it's almost like the timing is kismet. I mean, you just kind of, it's in sync.
Right, it's all working on it together. So, any more misconceptions or?
I think that's pretty much about it.
Okay.
When it comes to misconceptions and some of the things that BBB can't do. I would like to say that in some cases, thanks to consumer information that's reported to the BBB and other agencies, we're able to actually pursue legal action against bad businesses. So, that information does help.
Wow, I didn't realize you were able to do that. So the safety of the consumer is one of your primary goals or mission statements, but also assisting businesses and,
absolutely,
and getting them accredited so that they can, I guess the trust thing, being if someone has BBB on their door, the consumer is going to feel that they can trust them more, I think.
Absolutely.
So accreditation, that was one of our next topics. So how does a business, what are the benefits of accreditation?
Oh my goodness, there's quite a few. So I won't go into great detail because a lot of this information is on our website, but I'll just touch briefly on each one, just kind of mention what they are. But mainly it's promoting your accreditation. You have, by becoming accredited, you have use of the BBB seal. You can use that in your window, you can use it on your website, on your market marketing pieces. Also, the business review and industry listing, video testimonials. Actually, we are just in the process of doing some of those on the other side of the mountain. It's called My BBB Story, and where an accredited business can work with our videographer and our team down in Phoenix to create a 1-minute My BBB story and basically talk about why they became accredited, what their business does, and it's an opportunity for them to be able to utilize that, that video. It has about a $2,000 value, and it's been well received. We will be doing it on the Verde Valley side too, so folks will have to just kind of stay tuned for that information. It's coming. It's just a few months out. The BBB accredited business certificate and sign. They can do window stickers. They also have access to a newsletter, our business connection, business events. A lot of our education is offered for free to accredited businesses. So you'll see events coming up, AB seminars, what's known as accredited business seminars. We're going to do one over here. We'll have BBB University, where accredited businesses can come and learn about how to use their accreditation, because there's a lot of components to it. And so we have a hotline, a business hotline, eQuote. If they're accredited, they can use that.
And what is eQuote?
eQuote is where a consumer can actually go online and say, they can type in their name and their email address or phone number, and they can say, we need this done, and it will go to that accredited business. So it's just another way of linking consumers to accredited businesses so that they can get eQuotes. More information, lots of discounts, health insurance, small employer resource discounts, shipping and office savings discounts. The biggest one is FedEx. FedEx discounts, merchant card processing discounts, and prescription card discounts.
So there are lots of benefits.
There are lots and lots of benefits.
Kind of like a chamber of commerce,
kind of.
right?
Exactly. That's very, very true. So you mentioned the standards of trust, and one of the things when a business chooses to become accredited, they agree to the standards of trust, and there are 8 of those. The first one is to build trust and establish and maintain a positive track record in the marketplace. The second one, advertise honestly. Adhere to established standards of advertising and selling. And, we do ad reviews. We check things out. We make sure that, folks are doing the appropriate things in their advertising.
Honest advertising.
Absolutely. Tell the truth. Honestly represent products and services, including clear and adequate disclosures of all material terms. Sometimes, you don't want to get, pulled into something you don't know about. It's all that fine print. Be transparent. Openly identify the nature, location, and ownership of the business, and clearly disclose all policies, guarantees, and procedures that bear on a customer's decision to buy. Honor promises. Abide by all written agreements and verbal representations. Be responsive, and I'll talk about that in a little bit too. Address marketplace disputes quickly, professionally, and in good faith. Safeguard privacy. Protect any data collected against mishandling and fraud. Collect personal information only as needed, and respect the preferences of consumers regarding the use of their information. So if you say, you're not going to sell it, solicit it, or email address or share names, absolutely don't. And then lastly, embody integrity. Approach all business dealings, marketplace transactions, and commitments with integrity. And so these are the things that an accredited businesses, agree to uphold. And if an accredited business does not, their accreditation can be revoked.
Okay. Does that happen very often?
I'm not real sure, but
you haven't had to do.
I haven't had to do that yet.
Okay.
So
it's unusual. Once a business gets accredited, they go by, serving the consumer and wanting the best for their customers and following those guidelines so that they can have the trust and practice business ethically.
Absolutely. And what I find interesting too is some folks, because of cost, they may not be able to become accredited, but yet they will still honor these, 8 standards of trust and abide by them themselves. And so, it's really nice to see more and more businesses adhering to those types of standards.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like there's a lot of great things about the Better Business Bureau, both for businesses It helps a business to have accreditation because the public can more trust, they feel. And the Better Business Bureau is the gold standard. I mean, you think, you know, if you are in a pickle with a business or you feel like you've been scammed, you know, there is help out there, and that's a comforting feeling for so many people that, you know, a vulnerable population even that sometimes are seeked out for bad business practices.
They are, and that happens because, you know, the scammers will play on their emotions. They play on their vulnerability. You know, our elderly, you know, come from an era where, you know, you trusted each other, and it's unfortunate that, you know, that gets hindered.
But at any rate, with more than 11,000 businesses
accredited businesses
have lots of great, wonderful, honest businesses in the state of Arizona and northern Arizona. So I think you've really helped us find out today how we can shop comfortably, do business comfortably, and how we can seek services from the Better Business Bureau.
Absolutely, and so that businesses also know there's information out there for them too.
To help them also get their customer base built up. All right, it's been a great interview. Thank you for being here, Tracy.
Absolutely, thank you, Mary.
Great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
And that's how it is in Cottonwood.